Hello to anybody watching this video. I'm going to start out by importing my references. This was something I did for a previous assignment building up to this. So once I get those references imported, I'll then start using primitives or basic shapes to start modeling out the character and then go from there. So now that the character is basically modeled with primitives, I'll start using Blender's sculpting tools and brushes and things to start shaping it out into the character that I'd like to see. Now you'll see an area up here where I wasn't using my references and I was just trying to freehand it, which there are some artists who do that, but I'm just not capable of that at the moment. So I ended up going back and using my references, and I ended up getting a result that I was a lot happier with. okay, now that the character has been modeled and sculpted, it's time to retopologize the character, and I'm using a Blender plugin called Retopology. Now, I know a lot of artists who use this just based off of, research I found on the internet. And I know that one of the areas that Blender lacks in is its tools for retopology. There's a fight to get Blender to the industry standard level. And that's something that a lot of people would like to see improved, but there are some really great plugins. This isn't necessarily going to teach you, or rather allow you to ignore the basic concepts of retopology. You really need to understand retopology, and I do struggle with it. There's some areas on the back of the head that I wasn't happy with, and there's a few things here and there that I wish I could improve, but I do improve them over time. But this plugin allows you to speed up your workflow, and it makes it a lot easier because there's a pretty handsome setup when it comes to getting things set up for retopology in Blender, so this helps a lot. So I ended up having to come back and redo some of the UV unwrap, not very much. It really has to do with the way that Substance Painter works, and really using a UDIM tile setup, to be more specific. They're called virtual textures in Unreal, so it is something that it's fairly recent that it's been being used in Unreal. Now I can't give you an exact time frame, but I know that it is pretty recent. But the best way to do this, I believe, in my opinion, is to make sure that you have your UV separated with a purpose. So I didn't necessarily have my UV separated with a purpose, so I ended up having to come back and redo it because it just made it easier when I was texturing. I did end up doing 2 sets of textures. The first one was just a test set, so when I started doing the weight painting, I would have some type of texture to reference for stretching. I very well could have just used the UV grid that is already packaged inside of Blender, but I kind of preferred to use a texture that makes sense to me, like clothing or things like that. So that was the purpose of that. So you'll see 2 separate texture sets on this character. And my computer wasn't strong enough to screen record while I ran Substance Painter doing the 4K texture maps. So unfortunately, I didn't get to screen record that. But I did get to screen record the first set of textures that I made, and so you can see that process. so now the character is ready for a rig, and I decided to go with a custom rig this time. One of the things that I really enjoyed studying here at Arizona State University was the custom rigging process. I saw that in my GIT game art focus area, and I really liked it because there are some Blender plugins such as Rigify or Auto Rig Pro that are very quick and nearly seamless rigging operations, but you don't really understand what's going on behind it, or I don't at least. And so I kind of prefer to make a custom rig because then I feel like I'm a little more attached to it, no pun intended. So with the custom rig, I decided to go with IK for the arms and legs, and I also decided to rig a couple other things such as the staff, the backpack, and the chin strap. And so you'll see me setting those things up in here. And I also used some custom objects for my rig, which is really good practice for animation. It makes it a lot easier to see the model and to see what you're doing when you're animating. So you'll see that here also. Okay, so now for the final step, it's time to create the Unreal Engine project and import the character and the animations and set those up with an animation blueprint using an animation blend space. So I did have to revise my design document, my project document, for the simple fact that I didn't need nearly as many animations as I originally thought I did. And that's because with the third person over the shoulder template in Unreal Engine, you don't need to use your left and right animations, or backwards for that matter, just because of the character movement and the camera movement. And so that actually worked out a lot better, and it gave me a little more time to focus on those animations and kind of get those right where I wanted. I wanted these animations to be fairly quirky, as you kind of saw the setup in the previous step. And so I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Obviously, if I was going to be pushing this for production and planned on this being a shipped title, I would have put a little more effort into it. But because of the time frame and my schedule and how much time I've allotted into this project, I decided to go with what I ended up coming out with, which is I'm still very happy with. Overall, I ended up working 16 hours total. That's total working time on this project. So that's 16 hours of actual movement on the project. So it was quite a bit of work, quite a bit of learning, and I'm very happy to have done it. And I can't wait to showcase this on my portfolio.